There are many stories whispered in the shadows, tales of men who thought they could outsmart fate, but none are quite as chilling as the one you're about to hear. See, in the forgotten town of Black Hollow, where even the bravest dare not tread, there once lived a man consumed by greed. His name was Henry, a gambler who played for the highest stakes. One stormy night, he found himself in a game unlike any other. A game where the prize wasn't riches or power, but something far more vulnerable and valuable, his very soul. They say the devil always gets his due. Tonight, you'll find out why. In the small, desolate town of Black Hollow, there was a man named Henry. Henry was known for his greed and trust for power. A gambler by nature, he thrived on high-stakes games, no matter the cost. He was always looking for a bigger challenge, a game with consequences far beyond his imagination. One stormy night, Henry found himself in an old, decrepit bar on the outskirts of the town, known to locals as the Hollow's End. It was a place few dared to visit and even fewer returned from. In the corner of the bar, cloaked in shadows, sat a figure unlike any Henry had ever seen before. His eyes seemed to burn like coals, and his voice was as smooth as silk when he invited Henry to join him for a drink. The man introduced himself as Lucas. His gaze was unnerving, yet Henry, ever confident, saw it as just another opponent to be defeated. Lucas offered a simple wager, a game of cards, but this game had stakes far beyond money or material wealth. If Henry won, he would receive unfathomable riches, the kind that could make him the most powerful man in the world. But if he lost, Lucas would take something much more precious: Henry's soul. Prideful and desperate for a challenge, Henry laughed at the prospect. After all, he had never lost a game in his life. Without hesitation, he agreed. They played through the night, the storm outside growing more violent with each passing hour. The game was intense, with every card Henry played bringing him closer to either triumph or eternal damnation. Lucas seemed calm and collected, his every move precise, while Henry grew increasingly frantic, the weight of the wager bearing down on him. With one final hand, Henry thought he had the upper hand, a royal flush, unbeatable. He revealed his cards with a triumphant grin. Certain of his victory, Lucas, with a slow, deliberate smile, laid his cards down. It was a perfect hand, something impossible, yet there it was. Henry's face drained of color. He had lost. Lucas stood towering over the table, now his true form becoming more apparent, horns curling from his head, his skin a deep hellish red. The room seemed to darken as he reached out his hand toward Henry. "You played well, Henry," Lucas said, his voice low and menacing. "But now the game is over, and it's time for you to keep your end of the bargain." As Lucas' hand touched Henry's shoulder, the gambler felt his soul being ripped from his body. The pain was unbearable, a searing agony as his very essence was torn apart. His screams echoed in the empty bar, but there was no one to hear them. Henry was never seen again. Some say his soul is still trapped in that bar, forced to play the devil's game for eternity, always losing, always suffering. The Hollow's End remains abandoned, but locals claim that on stormy nights you can still hear the faint shoveling of cards and the desperate cries of a man who played with the devil and lost. With that, our story ends for tonight. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Please like and subscribe. See you again.